I am getting so irritated with this thing. Okay, I thought I had a good solution. I thought I had a really good solution. Thanks, Carson, for pinging me. Oh, jeez. I thought I had this thing worked out. I don't know what it is. Why is it that I'm having this problem now? I think it's because I tried to come up with a really clever solution to fix the mic issue that I was having. And now, time and time again, this just keeps happening. Anyway, so I'm going to try to find some good workaround for this, maybe, hopefully. The mic issue I'm talking about is every once in a while I would have to either switch inputs or remove the mic and re-add it. So I created a separate scene for it. But now, ever since I created a separate scene for it, yeah, I used to go through a checklist, and I still kind of do have one, but it's not checking this. I guess I'm going to have to add this to the list. I'm a dummy. Anyway, yeah, this is something I'm going to work on. Another thing I'm going to work on. Okay, sorry for the crinkling sound. I need to move some mandarin oranges out of the way. Okay. Let's see. So, hey, Austin. So, yeah, speaking of the temperature issue, yeah, no promises that this is going to go particularly long, but yeah, it's today started really well on weather. Yeah, super exciting to talk about weather, but just quickly acknowledging it. Yeah, it was actually really cool this morning. I could still walk out at 6 a.m. wearing shorts and be totally comfortable, but it stayed cool until like 9:30 at least, and I guess actually well past that. But the sun has come out, so it's gonna become a hot day one way or the other. But at least getting a late enough start that I walked into the office and it was totally comfortable in here. That being said, with the laptop running and OBS and everything else, yeah, I can already feel it heating up faster than it should. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, it is definitely hot throughout the whole US. I mean, come on, Portland had record-setting temperatures just a couple days ago. Well, 3 days ago. Maybe it was just 2. I don't remember if Monday was record-setting or not. But holy crap, Portland is not supposed to be one of the hottest places on Earth. That's just not a thing. Anyway, so yeah, just wanted to set the record straight on temperature. So if I do bail, you know why. Anyway, so I'm just quickly going back to what I was starting to say when I was muted. I'm gonna just make a plea to all of the tech news sites out there. Please hire. I'm telling you, pay the cost. Hire some programmers. Hire just some people who have some sort of expertise in the field, and please, 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 please ask them questions. Because when you write a post that is so absurdly crappy as to just completely wildly misinform your readers, and it's largely because you just did not take the time to look something up. And I understand many people do not have the background to be able to look things up easily and quickly. It's unfortunate, but I understand it. Look, believe me, many of the posts that I've written, I had to stop what I was doing and just start looking into things like right away, and like spending hours researching. Sometimes I don't know that I necessarily got the research right, but I did my best, and I think I generally got it. That being said, I'm not going to get into what exactly, but we'll just say Sasha Sagan. I will name check you because for some reason people really care what Sasha Sagan has to say. Yeah, dude, learn. Straight up learn. You don't know what the hell you're talking about sometimes. I could name others. There's a lot of stuff that happened over the Microsoft announcement that is just painful to have read. Yeah, Carson, I'm not going to get overly specific. We'll just say that Sasha came down very specifically on a thing, and yeah, it just said something so colossally and prolifically stupid, and it read like an opinion, but it was an opinion that implied certain facts, and they were so completely wrong as to just be meaningless. Anyway, so yeah, I guess this is like a subtweet, except not. But yeah, just wanted to get that one in there. So I'm gonna quickly dive right into something that was just brought up, obviously, just a little bit ago on the Discord channel, and that is this article by The Verge saying Google is moving away from APKs on the Play Store. So this is actually not new news. This is something that was already known to be happening. Unsurprisingly, that context isn't mentioned here, and this will be another one of my complaints from the last week. I've seen a whole lot of stuff getting posted that is actually old news, but no one's giving the context saying, oh yeah, by the way, such and such company said this was happening before. Particularly the fact that Microsoft is going to natively support Android apps. That's old as hell. Like, this was well known and confirmed, I think, 2 years ago. So yeah, anyway, so the short version here, to really part of the reason I want to address this is just to say The Verge gave a really bad title to this. It's not that it's untrue, but the title does not really give context that this is so much just a developer issue. It has nothing to do with users. Not in any practical sense. I mean, if you're kind of like enthusiast territory and you're sideloading a lot of apps, this might apply a little to you, but for the most part, it really doesn't. Anyway, the TLDR on this is that developers are basically going to package up their apps a little bit differently. Hey, Diablo, welcome. So developers are going to be packaging up their apps in a format that is, for lack of a better way to put it, basically just a big ass zip file containing all of their resources, the code, which will be partially compiled. It's not really, but it kind of sounds nice to say that. And from there, Google itself will do the final, basically compiling and optimization step for the files. They are still going to be distributed as APKs, but they will be as split APKs. So, and in case anyone doesn't know, which, I mean, come on, with you guys, with anyone listening to this show, I know you guys know. But split APKs, basically the idea is you get one base APK that contains the code, which, strictly speaking, can actually be kind of multiple base APKs, because you can have one that is just regular code, but if you have architecture splits, you can actually get more base APKs based on that. And then you download additional APKs that contain like just the language files, or just the files that are specific to a language. And you can download APKs that contain the correct oh, Carson, this is The Verge. The background on this is definitely The Verge here. You can kind of see it in the very top left. Yeah, if I scroll up and hold it there, it shows. But let's see. I was saying, oh, we're total brain fart for a second. Oh yeah. Anyway, then you could also get split APKs containing okay, I said language files and the different densities for screen, or the images intended for different screen densities. Put those words in the right order. I had all the right words, they were just in the wrong order. Oh, what was AP's title for this topic? I don't know. Hold on a second and I will look that one up. Let's see, this was posted today. Is The Verge late on this? Because I would have sworn this was talked about a day or two ago. I'm looking. I am looking. Wow. Okay, I'm into almost yesterday. Am I into yesterday now? Oh wait, I'm 2 pages back on our post already. Yeah, I'm into yesterday, so The Verge is late on this. Ah, okay. This is a perfect example in the funniest of ways. Yeah, Google Play Store is making app bundles a requirement this summer. So you'll notice this is got a byline of Corbin, who has not been with AP for a minute. And so yeah, this was an old post originally written June 12th, 2020. So it's only been a year and 2 weeks. It's been a year and 2 weeks that we have known that this is going to happen. And our post got bumped, which is what we call it when we take a post, update it, and then re-social it, kind of like a new post, but yeah. Anyway, so it's been bumped up, and you know what? Legitimate, honest title. I mean, granted, it's in theory, like someone who doesn't know how for someone who doesn't know what app bundles are, they're not going to know that this story doesn't really apply to them. The Verge, I feel like this is a different story, because the way The Verge phrased this title, it makes it sound like one of two things is happening. Either that Google is completely getting away from the APK format, which is completely untrue, or it kind of sounds a little bit like... Actually, I take it back. You know what? I was thinking of something else, but no, it doesn't even come across like that. This makes it sound like The Verge, or this makes it sound like the Play Store is just killing APKs. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Plain and simple. Their subtitle explains it in pretty clear detail, at least again if you understand what app bundles are. But yeah. And once you get into the text, it's it's pretty legitimate. But to Diablo's point, yeah, this is straight up clickbait. I mean, The Verge definitely clickbaited this. Whereas AP's title, you know what? It's honest. I mean, it's maybe still not as descriptive as it could have been, but that one's actually one of the good ones from the days when AP had the good ones. Anyway, so the key point here is this is largely a non-story for regular people. The only real significance to this is it does mean that a lot of it means all new apps are going to be coming in split APK, which it's up to you if you consider this a good or a bad thing. There are some people who aren't happy about this because it can lead to a couple of odd little edge cases, but for the most part, it's good. The other angle which The Verge does break into is the fact that the Play Store is the only one distributing apps as split APKs, whereas the Amazon App Store does not do this, nor does hardly any other actual store. Now, there are mirror sites like APK Mirror and APK Pure. Those guys are doing app bundle support, but it's a bit of a different case. You know, mirroring something that already exists is, to me, feels different than an actual store. Let's see, really quickly, skimming through comments, because I did kind of skip over a little bit of this while I was muted and trying to get to everything else. Let's see, Carson is in New Jersey, New York area, and there's excessive heat warning. Yeah, we've had... I feel like most of the US has just had, like, your phone is going to say excessive heat warning everywhere. Funny enough, today is the first time I haven't seen that warning on my Pixel 2. Let's see. Alright, so Carson just started vacation. Believe me, I'm jealous. Let's see. Vegas and New York in one summer. Oh, that's a lot of heat. Alright. How in the future, colloquial English will just be a string of clickbait headlines. You know, I don't know if you would want to be credited with this, but one of our writers at AP, I won't name names, but I think what he said is both painfully true and honest and sort of insightful, but at the same time, it could be interpreted very, very cynically, which is why I'm not naming it out. But one of our writers about a week ago said he was commenting on how weird it was that we're literally writing titles not for the readers, but for algorithms. We're writing titles for computers. So, I mean, it's true. We're choosing words based on whether or not we think an algorithm is going to pick it up, not on how good of a title it is or anything like that. For example, the article I posted earlier today, I may as well quickly bring this up. Here it is. Google has a new app to help you fly your drone safely in the US. Now, to be clear, this is not the title I wrote. That doesn't matter. But here's the thing. This title, actually, now that I'm reading it, wait a second. Is this the current title? It is. Okay, this title's actually a lie. The version that it got published with was not. This is actually a lie, because it is not a new app. It's not a new app at all. It's been in Australia for 2 years. Wait, maybe it's only a year. I don't know. It started in Australia though. It is also not it's debatable if you want to call it a Google app. And I'll get to that in a second. But technically speaking, as you can see in this part right here, the developer is Wing Aviation LLC. That is a subsidiary of Alphabet, which of course Alphabet is Google, but nitpicking. Regardless, this is technically by definition not a Google app. That being said, I don't have a quick and easy way of showing this to you. However, I will note the package name for this app. Just to set the record straight, the package name is actually com.google.android.apps.wing.opensky. So it is, the name definitely implies it's a Google app, but technically the company that created it and owns it is not Google. Regardless, we, like, half of our titles really are just written to be targeting the algorithm. It's all about coming up with the words that we think will make the Google feed jump up for joy and put our post in front of somebody else. It's not a good thing. I feel like this ruins a lot of stuff. Also, well, I will also say I can't decide if I think that this is better or worse than how it was just a few years ago, when everyone was writing everything for Reddit. Like, everyone was titling and trying to write their posts with the goal of being first to post, because that's what Reddit gives all of its attention to, and B, writing something that is so conflict oriented that Reddit is going to be like, oh, that's super cool, we need to get mad about something, because Reddit. Carson asked, do I like the app? Honestly, I used it for not even 5 minutes. Well, actually, let's see. I can tell you. So the last screenshot I took was at 7:35. The first screenshot I took were at 7:25. So sorry, I used it for 10 minutes. Ours still does that? Yeah, I know. If Ron ever hears this, hi Ron. You know you're guilty. Man, I might be throwing a lot of shade today. But though Ron knows. Ron's okay with it. But so the question of do I like the app? I actually sort of subtly, which, let's see, did anyone catch on? Nope. The only comments are about how Google's going to kill the app, which is stupid. I'm sorry, but that narrative needs to die as much as everyone thinks Google's apps do. But anyway, really quick, do I like the app? I feel like I intentionally put these screenshots in here as a subtle, like, hey, if people are looking close at the screenshots and then reading this very next paragraph where I say, let's see, bear in mind the very last sentence. Oops. There we go. Bear in mind, even these apps aren't entirely reliable, so it's still best to use common sense. Now look at these screenshots and tell me, in the second one, where it is showing me no issues, should I be able to fly over top a regional airport? That's what this app is showing. This is over top a regional airport. I feel like that's wrong. But hey, that's what the app says. So, going back to the question of do I like the app? My answer is it was implemented nicely. But no way in hell. I would not use this app. I would not rely on it for a second. It is not registering all the places where you cannot fly. Plain and simple. So yeah, that's a thing. Austin, I'm glad that you were posting that here and not somewhere that one of our editors could see it. Just saying. Oh, hey, Jesse. How's it going, man? Just saw that you popped up in chat. Let's see. If I subscribe to AP, will the editors give us a Patreon version of AP without dumb titles that make me want to remove it from my feed? God, I wish. Very legitimately, I have suggested, and I wish this could happen. I don't think it will, but I really, really wish this could happen. Look, I think it sucks. I detest the way titles are working these days, but I understand why they're being done the way they are. I get it. I think it's bad. I think it hurts everyone, but I understand why. The thing is, though, what I really wish we could do is after title has been up for, let's say, 48 hours, it has hit its news cycle. It is not coming back. It's not going to suddenly become relevant again. All of these news aggregators that follow this stuff, they're not going to care anymore. But after 48 hours, I want the titles to be changed to something good. I want the titles to become as honest, filled with information. I want them to be accurate, detailed, all of the things that you're not supposed to do with internet titles anymore. I want that. I want them to just suddenly... I wish we had a system in place where we could just auto-revert titles, because there are a bunch that I desperately would love to see just flip back to... in this case, it would likely be the title I originally wrote. I technically had two titles for this. I'm actually really quick pulling this up. Maybe I can find it. How far back do I have to go? Oh, good. My last read section is not too far below where we discussed this. Okay, my original two titles. One of them read, Alphabet's Wing brings its open sky drone safety app to the US. Now, to be clear, there's a reason we didn't use this title, and it's because Engadget had this title. Now, just to be clear, I wrote my title without paying attention to Engadget's title, but if you were to read the two side by side, literally the only difference is I added the words open sky to my title. Otherwise, they are literally identical. That was completely unintentional. Fortunately, of course, I looked at Engadget's title and was like, hey, no, we can't use that. So, never mind. Which, hey, you know what? Say what you will about AP. At least we try not to copy other people's titles. There are other sites that aren't quite so concerned with this. Then I rewrote this, and I'm actually... I'm weirdly proud of this because it is so creatively different, but at the same time, it is kind of hard to read. And this was an idea on how to reframe it, but not necessarily like a finalized title. I suggested Google's sibling drone delivery company brings flight safety app to the US. This was an inventive attempt to get the Google name in here instead of Alphabet. That was totally an algorithm kind of decision. Sibling drone delivery company is a way of describing the fact that it belongs to Alphabet without actually mentioning Alphabet, or the company's name is Wing, which is terrible. And it gets across the point that the company's purpose is drone delivery. And the whole rest of it is, just brings flight safety app to the US, which makes sense. It is what it is. Let's see. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of titles these days. Let's see. So, Jesse, don't some drone apps include this functionality as well, like the DJI apps? Yes, they do. Plain and simple, DJI does do this. However, most of the drone apps actually don't, or they don't do it very well. For example, like OpenSky doesn't do it very well. But yeah, DJI does do this. I never fly very close to places where this would come up, so I haven't really seen what DJI's interface looks like if you fly near any place with a regulation. So, like, the places I fly, I have taken the drone out to some private property in the middle of the woods where there is not an airfield around for at least 10 miles. I've also taken the drone out to waterfalls that are even deeper in the woods where there isn't anything at all for like 50 miles. And let's see, I took it out to a lake once where there was nobody around. So yeah, I have not really I've never really needed to put these apps to the test because I don't fly the drone anywhere where it's even in question. Austin, I just saw that. Some people say Ron is still playing Adventure.io and refuses to return to reality. Wouldn't that be awesome? Anyway, not that he doesn't return, but wouldn't it be awesome if there was still some reason for that game to just continue? Anyway, so oh god, clearly the developers are just winging it. Austin, you evil human being, I love it. Anyway, let's see. Diablo, yeah, it's funny seeing the same idea implemented and people going, oh, let me change. Now I'm not sure what the context of that was, but yeah, let's see. And Jesse, you don't believe what the new Google app does. Might keep you out of jail. Again, please don't let our editors see this stuff. They will use it. Anyway, so yeah, titles. All right, I'm gonna move that one back there just in case any more comments show up and I want to check them later. But yeah, so this has been a true ramble as it progressed from one topic to the next, but circling back to the original point, A, Verge, title better, please. But B, and more importantly, yeah, this is such a non-story for most people. The question of how this affects like the Amazon App Store, it doesn't. So this is the part where The Verge should be asking a programmer. They could have called so many programmers. I know that they have direct contacts with a ton of them. Lots and lots of developers who work with the App Store every week, let's say, not every day. Here's the thing. The way that app bundles are done, and this is going to be very high level. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details, but it is essentially you build your app the same way that you always built it. Now, there can be an exception to this. I'll address that in a second. But you basically build an app the way you always would have built it, but instead of generating an APK, you're generating an app bundle. I forget what the extension is for that. Who cares? And you upload that app bundle to Google. Google then basically unzips the app bundle, completes the compilation, builds it, links it, does the whole thing. creates all the split APKs, and makes those available on the Play Store. That's the long and short of it. Here's the thing. You're still just building your app. All you have to do is change your compilation targets and build an Amazon version. That's it. There's no difference here in terms of like what you're doing to build that app. So this isn't going to stop anybody from building apps for the Amazon App Store. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to make this unreasonable to get an app out to the Play Store or to the Amazon App Store. It's, in theory, this could add a little bit of work for some developers, but it's not much. Especially since most developers are actually not, well, I don't want to get too deep into this, but most of the apps distributed on the Amazon App Store actually have a different signature or signing key on them than they do on the Play Store. Wait, maybe it's all. It might not even just be some. It might be all of them now. Your build process is already different. You already had to make changes. So this probably isn't really changing much for them. To that, I will say there is one possible edge case, and that is if you are a really good conscientious developer and you're taking full advantage of the split APK functionality that allows you to actually spread functionality to different splits of an APK. So what this feature is, for anyone who doesn't know this exists, let's say that you had trying to think of a good example for this. This is not a good example, but we're going to use it anyway. Let's say that you made a Twitter app. Now, in the process of making this Twitter app, you come up with an idea that you want to add another feature. This other feature is, let's say that it is something where, oh, actually, no, I have a good one, actually. Let's say that it's an image editor. For whatever reason, it is a really simple image editor. It allows you to circle things, apply some filters, maybe. Basically that. So when you want to post a tweet with an image, you can quickly make edits to this image. But you know that 99% of your users aren't going to use this. They don't care. They don't want it. It's unnecessary. So what you can do is basically bury this feature in a separate split APK, and it will just live there. And if anyone ever tries to use it, you can then at that time download the split and then activate it. It basically it comes in as kind of like a plugin or an extension. Anyway, if you are trying to take advantage of that kind of feature, yeah, your code base is not going to look right to Amazon. You're not going to be able to just casually build it all and put the same APK up on Amazon. It might not necessarily be that much work to make it compatible, but yeah, you'd have to change a few things. That sort of thing will not fly on the Amazon App Store. So that is the one edge case where I see it making a difference. All right, let's see. Jesse said the very first sentence of the very first page that comes up when you Google Android app bundles says, an Android app bundle is a publishing format that includes all of your apps, compiled code and resources, and defers APK generation signing to Google Play. AABs, if I recall, happened just because most devs weren't building target-specific APKs and kept building omni APKs that were huge and wasted space and bandwidth. Yes and no. Okay, I'm gonna have to kind of parse that one out, but so first off, on the quote, what I love is it's exactly that. The first result you get explains something that if The Verge had read it, would have cleared up some of the misconceptions they had. So yeah, it's literally just Google the 3 keywords and you would have actually learned something. J. Peters. Yes, I will call you out. It's impossible not to. But yeah, this just required a little bit more research and he would have gotten the gist of it. Also, very notably, down in comments, like, people made it clear. People corrected this, and this article is not corrected. So, this is why. So, like, just a minute ago, you guys, if you're kind of paying attention, you heard me say that I was going to leave this article that I wrote open because I like to watch comments. Every once in a while, people come in and leave a comment saying, dude, you got something wrong. Like, here's the actual correct thing. And I'm like, oh, crap. Thank you. You're awesome. You helped me fix something. I like to be correct. Not enough news bloggers do this. And way more of them should. Anyway. Yeah, this... So anyway, about... app packages, app bundles. Why am I saying app packages? As far as app bundles, yes, this was a solution in large part because developers were not really keen on making target specific APKs. A developer could absolutely have made, and Google did do this, you could make what was known as a universal APK, or what was colloquially known as a universal APK, but it was just, we also referred to them as fat APKs, which had literally everything in them. Or what you could do is make an APK that was like architecture specific, language specific, and image bucket specific. And technically there were actually like a couple of other things you could break it down by, but generally speaking, that was an option. You could always make this, and Google Maps is a flawless example of one that did. There were, at one point, I believe there was something like 43 different variants of the Maps APK. Let's see. Easy way to find out. Google Maps. How many variants are we going to find of you? Let's go back to page 20. How about 30? Okay, well, 10.14 has 20 variants. Oh, yeah, Android version. That was the other big differentiator that fell into this. Let's see. Diablo. Sometimes it makes me like go, I'll just wait for it to hit my device. Yeah. No, for real. If you didn't have a reason to push your way into a new version, it was just so much better to let it hit the device. Especially with certain apps. I'll tell you, I once accidentally installed the wrong architecture of Google Play services to a phone. And this was before they checked. So it used to be possible to actually do this. Holy crap. Things break bad when you install a... What did I install? I want to say it was like the Intel version, but I might be wrong. Maybe it was... Oh man, I don't remember now. But I did install some... It was definitely the wrong APK. Maybe it was 64-bit onto a 32-bit processor. Something like that. But yeah, wow. I mean, you've seen Windows. When Windows has like big mega crash and it's just like suddenly... yeah, this is right. So error pop up right here, and then boom, 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 like the thing where it just suddenly you've got a string of dialog boxes popping up where crashes are happening. This is what happens if you put the wrong Play Services version on your phone. Except all those windows stack on top of each other in one lineup. And what's funny is they will dim the background. I wish I could have gotten a picture of this. When those boxes pop up, at least used to be, they would slightly dim the background around the box. And since each of those errors was popping up on top, it would actually just further dim the background a little bit more. So the screen was perfectly blacked out, except for the error right in the center that was saying, yeah, things aren't working. That phone, I think I managed to fix it without a factory reset, but only barely. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, to confirm, yeah, Jesse, you're absolutely right. The issue is developers didn't want to do this. It's not that they couldn't set up a build script that would generate each of these variants. They absolutely could have done that. The problem was uploading them. It sucked. It sucked to upload this to the Play Store's old console. It was slow. You had to upload, I don't remember if you had to upload each individually or not, but marking each of them differently was a pain in the ass. It was a lot of work to do something that a lot of developers just didn't see value in doing. As far as most of them were concerned, who cares if you're uploading an APK that's, let's just say, for example, maybe the APK is 8 megabytes instead of 7 or even 5. That's the kind of difference that a lot of them were looking at. And okay, maybe that's pretty small for an APK, but let's say 25 megabytes versus 22. None of them care. You know, that's if you're in the US or if you're in any reasonably connected country, you don't care about making that kind of an optimization. But Google being Google, their argument was, think of India, think of Pakistan, think of feel free to just list all the countries where connectivity isn't as easy or guaranteed, or it's slow. In places like that, you do want the smallest possible APK. And yeah, that's pretty much what split APKs were all about. It was a goal to reduce the impact as much as possible. Diablo. Oh, you remember an APK that was about 76 meg? At that size, I assume you're not talking current. I'm just guessing that this is probably much older. Fair odds, this is either Play Services, Google Maps, or I want to say Facebook. I don't know, maybe it is Facebook. But yeah, there have definitely been a few. So yeah, anyway, this isn't gonna impact too many people, not in any serious way. And one of these days, maybe, I think Amazon's probably going to adopt this. There's just no hurry. They don't need to be. There's no reason for them to be. Needless to say, at some stage, Microsoft will also adopt this in Windows 11. All of these things are safe bets. It's not a certainty, but there's no reason it won't be, because it is a better way of doing this. It just has some complications that have to be automated. So I'm not worried here. I don't think Google is making a change that's going to screw with anything. I don't think they're not doing anything hostile. They're not doing anything malicious in this itself. Now, strictly speaking, they are also having you upload something that basically is giving Google near direct access to your code. Not that they couldn't have gotten most of it from decompiling and analysis, but technically they're getting something that's damn near unaltered. So for people who are really paranoid about that kind of thing, technically it's a small issue. Let's see. Don't remember exactly, but it's discouraging something to be like that if it doesn't seem like it does much. Oh, like it's so big for no reason. Yeah, no, I get you. But yeah, anyway, so this is mostly a non-story. But it's funny that it has been turned into a story thanks to bad titles. So let's kind of dovetail off of that one and talk about, get the right tab set up here. And here I am using The Verge again. This is actually the topic that I figured was going to get the most talk time today. Of course, Microsoft announced Windows 11 last week. Everyone here knows this. It's impossible to have avoided this topic. And everyone is basically caught up on the fact that Microsoft is going to be using Amazon's App Store as its source for apps. Some people are saying that this is a bad idea. Some people are saying that this was really stupid. Some people are pointing out any number of other weird angles. And I have my own take on this, which is, duh. Of course they are. Honestly, I don't think Microsoft had a choice. Jesse, this seems like it's going to be a big nothing. Kind of agree. But we'll come back to that, because I have a lot of theories on this. So fundamentally, I'm just going to say, I don't think Microsoft actually had much of a choice on this. And I don't just have 3 reasons. I have 3 categories of reasons. I'm serious. I'm not going to, I swear, I'm going to keep this as short as possible. But they actually have 3 categories of reasons why it makes sense to have actually gone with the Amazon App Store instead of going with Google Play. So first off, there are technical reasons. And yes, split APKs is absolutely one of them. But it actually goes deeper than this. So Google releases a new version of Android every year. We all know this. And believe me, this is far from the only technical reason. We're going to come back to a lot more. But consider this. How often do you think Microsoft is going to be updating their runtime on Windows for new versions of Android? Now, this is Microsoft. They're actually pretty good on this stuff. But I don't know that I would bet that they're going to be updating every year. Or at the very least, I don't know that they're going to be updating to new API versions very quickly. Like they might stay up with the yearly updates, but I don't know that I would bet that they're going to have something out like 2 weeks after Google releases something. I could see it being more like, hey, we're publishing this 6 months later. Diablo, 1 every 3 years. Well, let's hope that they're not as bad as Amazon, because that's about what Amazon's doing. So when all is said and done, Google updating on such a rapid schedule, it's something that I don't think Microsoft wants to try to keep up with. And strictly speaking, they could still do that and still use the Amazon App Store. But I think by going with the Amazon App Store, developers already go into the Amazon App Store with the presumption that they need to target generally older versions of APIs. They don't have to, but if they're trying to rely on only the newest versions, the largest percentage of devices on the Amazon App Store are old enough that they don't have access to the newer APIs. So to me, this means developers are actually going to be building their apps for the Amazon App Store using generally an older SDK version, older API version. And as a result, that is honestly easier for Microsoft to keep up with. I know this sounds like a niche issue, and it kind of is, but I'm just getting started. The second issue is Google Play services. Consider this. If you build an app for the Play Store, if your app has in-app payments, well, strictly speaking, this one's true on the Amazon App Store too. If you have in-app payments, hey, Curvy Mermaid, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. But so if you build an app that uses in-app purchases, you have to include Google Play services. If you have an app that is paid and you're going to do at least the bare minimum to prevent piracy, you need Google Play services. The API call that actually calls out to the Play Store and checks if the app has been paid for, that requires a Google Play services API call. If your app, if your app uses any of the massive number of weird APIs that Google has also created that are just sort of things that save developers time, you need Google Play services. Now, some of those APIs, just to give an example, one of those APIs can identify faces in an image. I even meant to pull this up. Let's see if I can find this article real quick. Oops, I should have said face detection. Not that one. Totally stole an image from Google for this. Balls. That is not the right one. Face API? Nope, that's not it either. Here it is. So back in 2015, for real, back in 2015, Google rolled out the Mobile Vision API, which does face detection and barcode reading. And this is just something that any app can use for free, no question to it, and is built into Google Play services. You can't use this feature without Google Play services. So yeah, this is the kind of thing, like, there's so many apps on the Play Store that are built using all this stuff that at the end of the day, if Microsoft tried to partner with Google, they would have had to include Google Play services in Windows. Now consider how many people, I mean, really seriously, consider this. How many people who use Windows would look at that and their immediate response would be, so Microsoft is now putting Google spyware on my computer. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just pointing out there's a lot of people who would immediately jump to that. That would actually legitimately scare a ton of people away from using Windows, because they would freak at the idea of this. Which, hey, you know what? If anyone ever wanted it to be the year of Linux, that's the way to do it. Anyway, all right, really quick, catching up on comments, because I do see a few things I may want to quickly hit. So Jesse up at the top. Honestly, this seems like it's going to be a big nothing. Oh yeah, I was going to come back to that. I don't care that it uses the Amazon App Store because there's nothing of value there for Windows, and it's better than nothing other than maybe F-Droid. Okay. I mean, I think that one kind of depends on where what you value and what you're going for. But generally, yeah, you know, the example everybody keeps using, I mean, The Verge certainly did, is yeah, TikTok on the Amazon App Store. There's no Windows version of this. It's just an Android app and an iOS app. So, you know, if you wanted this on a Windows PC, this is the easiest way to get it, or will be the easiest way to get it. And I'm sure this app is not on F-Droid. Shocker. But yeah, you know, I don't have any interest in TikTok, but anyone who does, like, that matters to them. Let's see. Jesse also said, but also Android apps on Chrome OS is already borderline unhelpful. Agreed. I severely doubt anyone building large screen Android apps will put any effort into Windows. I think I agree, but I also might disagree with that. But we'll come back to that angle too. Really quick, do I have... Yes, I do. Okay. At best, this is a nice dev tool. I could see that, yeah. If nothing else, it does open up the possibility of testing your apps without having to use one of the full-scale emulators, which would be nice. Let's see, in Diablo, yeah, also I think that's Echo stuff seems interesting when you get a notification and need to interact, so my phone can handle same. Not familiar with the Echo part of that announcement. Let's see. Curvy Mermaid, you can sideload all of that. I know that was in reference to Google Play services. It is true you can sideload Google Play services on like Amazon tablets and stuff like that. I don't know that you'll be able to sideload Google Play services to Windows. I kind of doubt it. I'm not sure how their sandboxing is going to work there. I don't know. Actually, I really don't know on that one. That might work. It might not. But I will say sideloading Google Play services on Amazon stuff can be a little risky, and also it's not something the average person does. I know not everyone's the average person, but I think that one's a step beyond. It's a step beyond what your typical non-nerd is doing casually. Let's see. Jesse, Google has, for better or worse, found a good line between AOSP is good for generic devices, like a 3D printer, and you need Google Play services for any real consumer apps. Yes, I would say Google definitely found a line that works very well for Google. And that's not a slight against Google. It's just acknowledging that Google really benefits from the fact that if you care about running apps, you really, really have to kind of sign in, or you have to accept Google's world. Let's see, Diablo, wait. And how much would the cost be across all of Windows, I assume? Oh, so how much would it cost for Microsoft to have Google Play services on Windows? I assume that's a question. The answer to that is lots. Though I have a feeling Google would cut some kind of a deal, because they probably would want it. They would still control the store. They still control what's in Google Play services. I bet they would cut Microsoft a really good deal. It wouldn't be free, but I think it would be viable. Especially if payment occurs as a basis of somebody. Let's say that Microsoft doesn't actually have to pay the cost of a license Or yeah, let's just say they don't have to pay the cost of the license until a user actually like installs an app that uses Google Play services. I could see that becoming kind of a thing. Anyway, let's see. Curvy Mermaid, macOS and iPadOS. I assume that's in response to the year of Linux. And yeah, pretty much. No one was gonna switch to Linux. They all would have gone over to macOS. Jesse, I also think Google Play services would never be added just because the very first question Google would have is, so you're going to require people sign into Google to access the runtime, right? Which, yeah, that would go over very poorly. That would go over like hot potato salad. It's just not a thing you do. Let's see. Carson, wonder if you'll be able to sideload Google Play services. Okay, I already kind of gave my quick guess on that. I'm holding to the maybe, but I feel like no. I feel like the sandboxing is going to be really strict, and it might not be compatible with that. Jesse Corbett, there's a web version of TikTok though? Seriously, is there? I honestly did not know. Huh. Okay. I guess there is. And you can upload to it. That's a thing. And lucky me, I did not end up getting a TikTok with something offensive or dangerous in it. And as I scroll down, I can already tell I probably should not continue scrolling because it's only going to get worse. All right, we're closing that. Let's see. Yeah, so TikTok's the example everyone's been given, but yeah, I'm sure there are going to be examples of apps. There are definitely apps out there that, especially games, but there are definitely a lot of apps out there that are on Amazon that you cannot get a web version of. Games being the really, really obvious ones, but I'm sure others exist. Strictly speaking, Instagram on the web is still terrible, though I guess it now works, right? You can... Yeah, sorry. We're getting a random friend of mine taking a picture of her boobs. But they are covered, so we're gonna say that this is pretty much safe territory. You can't upload to... I'm not seeing a way you can upload to Instagram. So yeah, you would still need to download an app for this. Technically, you can upload to Instagram using an extension, like just a simple Chrome extension, but it's upload coming soon. I'm sure it is. Legitimately, I'm sure it is. But the fact that you don't have it yet, Instagram's web app is pretty useless. Yep. Right now, it is. Once it gets uploaded, it'll be fine. But they have the money. They don't have upload on web on purpose. Let's be clear on this. It's not like it's one developer who's just overstressed and overworked and just can't get to it. They could add upload it anytime they want. Zero trouble. I bet. I mean, not only do I'm not even gonna say I bet they have it. I know they have it. Like there are social media management apps that that use Instagram's API. Like, you can just straight up send posts through those to Instagram. Lots of media companies do this already. They do not, like, they don't have a phone sitting in their office like, well, we need to do 13 posts today. Let's someone go man the phone. It doesn't work that way. So yeah, at any time they want, they could add this. They're intentionally not adding it, or have intentionally not added it, because it's all about kind of messing with the users. Okay, so I'm going back real quick to see more comments. Diablo, it also has a lot of pop-ups pushing people to download the app. It's annoying. Yeah. Curvy is not jumping into Windows 11 until next summer. Do not blame you. Not in the least. I would love to test it on a computer if I had one to test it on. But if it was my main computer, I wouldn't throw Windows 11 on there until it was out and reasonably safe. In fact, I would probably just straight up wait until if there's going to be like a free transition period like they did with Windows 10 coming from Windows 8, I would totally just wait until that transition period was almost elapsed, then make the move. Let's see, Diablo, not in any rush to 11. 10 got support still. 11 seems like 8 to 7. And yeah, it is. I mean, we'll see. I'm sure it'll have its own unique issues, but yeah, it's gonna be janky and buggy and unreliable like Windows already is. Let's see, that cost seems to be a barrier. I'm sure Google would salivate to see a big share. Yeah, pretty much. Let's see, wasn't rumors on the dual boot Chrome OS and Windows shut down? Seems like Google or Microsoft didn't want a peanut to chocolate mix. Everyone knew it was in development. It was a thing companies were trying to make happen, but licensing terms on Chrome OS, if I remember it was Chrome OS, make it like they actually prohibit that. My thinking is that's always going to be a contentious issue. We'll see what happens. I think one of these days Google's going to have to give up that fight, but it's very possible Chrome OS won't be around by the time that they would. So we might be having that same conversation about Fuchsia. Jesse, think it's hard to look at Android on Windows as anything other than Microsoft putting themselves into position to benefit from future potential rather than a compelling use case today. I think I agree with that, except I'm gonna take the stance that this is never going to be good enough for people to consider it a good experience or a reliable experience. And as a result, honestly, I think this is more gimmick than anything. Microsoft knows that if a popular app comes out, the purpose for this is to be able to say, hey, that popular super trendy thing that somebody made for phones but did not bother to make for Windows, you can still get it on Windows. They want to be able to say this. It's not that the experience is going to be good. It's not that the quality is good. It's not that it'll even necessarily work or be available through the Amazon App Store. Notably, the odds are actually pretty low it's available through the Amazon App Store. But being able to tell people, hey, you can do it, like this is now a possibility, that goes a long way. It brings people back into the Windows camp who are saying, well, I need to be able to do such and such thing. I'd rather be on a laptop, but since these new things are coming out that are only available on phones, I'm going to do this thing on a phone instead. Microsoft is, to that extent, yes, putting itself in a position to be able to say, hey, now you can use it on desktops. You're good. Like, you don't have to rely on a phone to get there. The Stadia is dead comment. Oh, that was a good stretch. Okay. Curvy says there's a free update only for Windows 10 users for a bit. So yeah, time limited. Color me surprised. Of course, it hardly matters because so few computers are going to be able to update to Windows 11 officially. Because stupid secure requirements. Let's see. Jesse, you'll bet Windows 11 will forever be a free Windows 10 upgrade since 10 uses the new account bonded license system. Very possibly. There we go. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that. And I've said it. I've been banging this drum for a little while. Everyone's heard me, but so I'll TLDR and just say Windows 10 should just be free. Microsoft for personal installs, for individual installs. Go ahead, still keep charging companies a license fee to distribute it on their computers, but for individuals, just let people download it for free. It's not worth making people pay or jump through hoops or act stupid. Just make it free. Let's see. And Jesse said, I put this in the same category as MS Working to get React Native, Flutter, Native PWA support on Windows. They see writing on the wall that these other apps aren't going away and they need to adapt. Yup. Yeah. 100% true. Anyway, so let's see. I'm gonna circle back and talk on. I was giving categories, and I kind of hit the technical ones. That the Amazon App Store generally is going to attract apps that are built for slightly older target APIs, which kind of suits Microsoft's purposes a little bit better. And the fact that they're not going to have Google Play services. Instead, you're going to presumably have Amazon's app services, and those are a lot simpler. I mean, Amazon offers a few weird things, but not a lot. Like, they offer, their stuff is a lot more core. Like, mapping, cloud storage, obviously the store-related stuff, a few other things, but it's really like core stuff that you need, not the stuff like a facial recognition system that, I mean, that's super cool, but like any developer that wants that kind of thing, they could have also just gone out to GitHub and downloaded some other library that does that. It really did not have to be Google's thing. Let's see. Jesse says, if I recall, the Android app support is based on Intel tech, so they might keep the API version up to date more than we expect. Very possibly. Damn. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is Windows is going to be running on a lot of ARM chips in the future, so I don't know that the Intel version is going to be compatible with that. Yeah, we'll have to see on that one. Anyway, so switching gears, I was listening to technical stuff, and again, there are about a dozen other technical reasons that kind of came to mind, but I think those are the two big ones. Switching gears though, there's also what was it? Political and strategic. Yeah, those are the other two categories. Had to think on that a second. I was thinking about all this stuff last night, and now I'm somewhat sleep deprived, and the room is like genuinely hot now, so the brain is working slower than before. Anyway, so politically, this is going to sound a little weird, but legitimately, if you were Microsoft, consider this. And when I say politically, I'm not talking like politics between companies and things like that. I'm talking global politics. Consider this. Google has had fights with how many different companies in the countries in the last couple years. Google started fighting it out with Australia over news. They have had to fight it out with the UK over all kinds of crap. They're fighting it out with the US. They're not allowed in China, basically. I'm sure I could list a few more, but we'll just stop there. Think about... Oh, and of course, there's also a few other issues, like a bunch of, we'll say, very conservative individuals who resist all things Google just because. So you factor all of this stuff in. What is the scenario going to be for Microsoft if the day comes along that Google gets banned? Let's say Google gets banned in, I don't know, we're just going to make up a scenario. For whatever reason, Google gets banned in Spain. Now, what happens here? Microsoft is distributing Google software with a bunch of functionality that definitely calls back home. If they did that, and Spain is like, no, we don't want that here anymore. We're banning all Google stuff because they did a thing and we don't like it. Simple as that. Well, what happens to Windows? Is Windows now banned? Would Microsoft have to Would Microsoft have to ship an update that removes Google functionality from computers in Spain? Like, what happens in this scenario? I'm sure it wouldn't be as egregious as what I'm describing, but you never know. Like, it technically could be. Amazon is not the most liked company, but you know what Amazon does differently than Google? They don't piss anyone off. Like, Amazon, if someone complains about Amazon, they're like, well, thank you for letting us know. We'll work on that. Cheers. And your next package will be late. Thanks. Like, Amazon will play ball. Google doesn't always play ball. This is the difference. So I could really see, if you're trying to pick a company that isn't going to cause problems, it's better to go with Amazon. Let's see. Quickly reading comments. One tangential topic I cannot speak now is how much Epic lawyers are sweating about their antitrust suit against Google now that Windows can also run and distribute apps. Yep. Though technically this one's not, this shouldn't actually be an issue for them, because you could already, like, Amazon was already doing all this stuff with the Fire tablets. Strictly speaking, nothing here changes anything that should matter too much to Epic's case. Also, am I mistaken, or did Epic not actually... I did the epic Google fight ever really get hashed out? I thought they were kind of waiting to see how that would play out with Apple before they got too aggressive with anything else. Anyway, you could say the opposite for politics, though. Makes it a lot harder to consider banning Google if you're not just banning most smartphones, but also most PCs. Gives an incentive to be involved. Well, the thing is, though, we're not talking about Google's incentive necessarily. We're talking about Microsoft's incentive. Microsoft is the one that gets to pick who they partner with. I mean, within reason, they have to approach someone, and that someone has to be into it too. But, you know, consensual deal making. Everyone should do it. Get permission before you partner. Oh God. Anyway, the thing is, Microsoft is the one that has to make this decision, and at the end of the day, if yes, it sort of could give them protection a little bit, but more than likely they're going to carry the burden of what Google does rather than Google carrying the burden of what Microsoft does if they partnered. And I think that works out very badly for Microsoft and very well for Google. Curvy Mermaid. Besides Bezos not paying his taxes and how Amazon treats warehouse workers and drivers, all true. But the thing is, there's no country out there that's looking at Amazon and going, you know what? Because you're kind of mean to your drivers and you don't pay them well, we're just going to ban you. Doesn't seem to be happening. Whereas you've got countries that are looking at Google as saying, yeah, you know, you're not willing to censor stuff for the CCP, or you are willing to censor stuff for the CCP, or you're tracking users in a way that we don't like, or you're violating copyrights, as Australia thought that they were. The list goes on, but yeah, there's a lot of companies that are just gunning for Google, and there are companies that want to go after Amazon, but they want to go after Amazon for being just douchey. They don't want to go after Amazon for like straight up we're banning you from the country. They want Amazon to pay taxes. They want Amazon to pony up more money. They want Amazon to treat employees well. None of this stuff equates to banning anything. Let's see. Fire tablets are statistically nothing. Windows is everywhere still. I think if we knew what damn, I needed more sleep. Okay, anyway, I think if we knew what the sales figures were on Fire tablets, I bet they're better than we think. Because I think a lot of Fire tablets go out to like seniors, people who aren't very technical. I think a lot of people are just kind of buying these because they're cheap alternatives to iPads, and they're getting use out of them. They just don't upgrade them like very often. Let's see. Bezos makes people mad, not politicians, for the most part. Yeah, that's exactly it. Again, Amazon plays ball. They may not be a wonderful company, but they work with companies. Like you may not want to work with them, but at the end of the day, Amazon's one of those companies that sits there and is like, we don't care what you do. As long as you want to make us richer, we're cool with it. Like, we will find a way to be friends. And Google's the company who's like, we're going to try to negotiate this, and if things don't work out, we're going to snub you. And it's not good business. And it's really bad business when you're trying to do that with a country. Bezos may be our only hope at stopping SpaceX dominance. Help us all. Bezos is budget Lord Vader. I mean, he already looks like Lex Luthor. I'm just saying. Can we call him Lord Helmet? Hold on, I think I got one more. I'm thinking. Who are they going to do 2-day delivery to on the moon if they own the moon? Okay. I'm stopping there. I'm not sure that one was even really worth it, but it's what I had. Anyway. It's not like Elon Musk is great. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. If either of these guys invited me to lunch, I'd go. But, well, to be fair, I would go, but I think I would still maybe have somebody taste test my food for poisons first. But still, you know, neither one is, I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I would rather have the space program under Musk than under Bezos. Only barely, but that does feel like a better thing. Let's see. Anyway. All right. So Google versus Epic case hasn't gone to court yet. Probably. All right. It's gross that we basically have to back Elon or Bezos because NASA's now poo. Yeah. You know, and I mentioned this recently somewhere. I just finished watching For All Mankind season 2 about 2-3 weeks ago. Really good show, by the way. If anyone wants to watch that or has been thinking about it, check it out. It's an Apple TV original. It stars Joel Kinnaman. Really good show. The premise is we live in an alternate timeline where the Russians actually landed on the moon first, and then it becomes this whole space race that just continues on. And funny enough, if you look at the subtle ways that the show gets super progressive very quickly, like they actually make a point a few times about the 26th Amendment or 25th. I'm suddenly now blanking on the Equal Rights for Women Amendment. Anyway, whichever one it is, let's see, 26th Amendment is, no, that's not it. Let's go Equal Rights Amendment. That should be, nope, that's the old one. Oh, I am just barely blanking on the term that I'm looking for. Anyway, I know everyone knows what I'm talking about, or probably knows, so I'm not going to go looking for it. But I'm sure someone will say it in chat by the time I finish this bit of a ramble. But yeah, the fact that they passed that in the show, they did so many things that are, it makes you actually wish for that timeline, which is interesting. Anyway, so Jesse had said earlier, to be fair, I don't feel any better supporting Lockheed Martin and Boeing on the other wide of that fight. Oh, other side of that fight. Yeah. No company at this size is wonderful. They're all just a little bit sleazy and scammy. The only real difference is some of these are the old school companies where we couldn't name a single CEO that has ever worked for any of these. And then we have the newer companies where the CEOs are the face of the company, and they are their own gimmick. Let's see. Bezos also funds 2 shows that paint Superman in a bad light. That's true. The Luther propaganda. God, it's actually true. Wow. Let's see. I think Musk is distinctly the less scummy of 2 very scummy people. And at least NASA is getting value from the money they give SpaceX. Okay. To this, this is one of those things. It's kind of like you have to separate a company from a CEO. I'm going to separate Elon Musk on the bounds of scumminess. When it comes to his how he runs his companies, there's a bit of scumminess there, but generally speaking, I personally think he's not that bad. When he runs his companies, they typically still have good intentions in mind, or seem to, and they're not too... God, that link to PayPal is the one that makes me feel sketch. But most of the companies that he's run, you get the impression that he's still trying to do good by the users and customers. Elon personally, and in terms of how he's kind of been manipulating, he's been intentionally, very brazenly manipulating like the cryptocurrency markets. Yeah, no, scummy as hell. Straight up, he is just scum. Personal life also included in that, because, man, look at some of the crap. It's not like he is, it's not like he's Harvey Weinstein, but I'm just saying, I would not want to be his neighbor. Like, actually, now that I think about it, for all kinds of reasons, I really would not want to be his neighbor. All of that said, Bezos is... I feel like Bezos is actually... he's a hard one to redeem. That's probably the best way to say it. Let's see. Jesse said, I think Musk is distinctly the less scummy of 2 very scummy people. And at least NASA's... Oh, yeah. Austin would pick Bezos. Dang, the lesser of 2 evil situations. Yeah. Austin, maybe one for the UFOs... Or maybe one of the UFOs will land in Zuckerberg's backyard, and we'll have a 3-way evil space company race. Yep. Don't you think a UFO already landed in the Zuckerberg backyard? That's how we have Mark. Just saying. The trifecta of this might be... Oh, this might as well happen, tech billionaires. Yeah, no kidding. Jesse, okay, yeah. You also see it as all the billionaires are basically evil by default, but Musk seems to be the one with the best intentions. Of the ones we've talked about, yes. I think Musk is the one where he actually wants to do stuff that is going to, in one way or another, help the people on the planet. He doesn't always do it well. He doesn't always do it without calling someone a pedo. But at least he seems to generally want good things to happen. And cheers. I don't think Bezos has that. Bezos, yeah, obviously we base this all on what we see from the public eye, and we're very, very separated from these people. But I look at Bezos and I can't help but think this guy just very much does not care about people. He really, it's not, I don't think he's necessarily aiming to hurt people, but I get the impression that Bezos just says, hey, people are here to make me money, so I'm gonna let them make me money, and I'm gonna let them in ways that almost feel like slavery. And obviously, just before we get into it, I'm not talking about the slavery. I'm talking in the sense of keeping the people working long hours under threat of losing their jobs. We're talking the modernized version of what that means today, not what it means historically. Austin, you're waiting for the Bezos philanthropist transformation. Bill Gates did it so well. Maybe I see this because I had a different perspective on it, but I don't feel like Bill Gates was ever as bad as Bezos. There were times that people said things about Gates that he wasn't necessarily the greatest person, but from what I understand, he was pretty good to work with. Most people described him as a nice guy all the time, and that he was good for the company in a lot of ways. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have something to say on this in just a second. All right. I know that this isn't fair, but I don't know why. Just when I saw this, all of a sudden, I couldn't help but think that this looks so much like okay, imagine for a second making a cross between Vladimir Putin and J.K. Simmons. Tell me that Bezos in this picture does not look eerily similar to J.K. Simmons, but with like some Vladimir Putin creepiness mixed in. For those who don't know J.K. Simmons, he was, of course, this wonderful gentleman. He played he's I think he's known for a ton of movie roles, but I think he's probably best known for being in Spider-Man as J. Jonah Jameson, the head of the newspaper. He just, he has that quality to him. Oh boy. Anyway, man, just the moment I saw this picture, it's like, that is J.K. Simmons, but like creepy. All right. Anyway, enough unfortunate linking to J.K. Let's see. Still waiting on. That one photo of Bezos in sunglasses and a vest has big "I would hunt people for sport if I could" energy. Yup. Bill Gates is like Carnegie. Oh boy. Fast and Furious 12 Prime Day. When is someone gonna make a movie? Someone has to make a movie. like not a documentary. It has to actually be like a fictional movie, but it's also super obviously based on reality. That would be awesome. There is going to be a hit piece on Prime Day. Oh, how about a heist movie involving Prime Day? I don't know how you do this, but it is doable. Somehow, some way, we need an Amazon-oriented heist movie. Silicon Valley Civil War. Yeah. Okay, but anyway. This is that moment where I wish I could do the Vin Diesel voice. Man, I really should not try this. What we need to do. No, I can't. What we need to do. Yeah, I can't hit it. I can't quite hit that voice. I can't think of how I would change to adapt to it. But there is a definite Vin Diesel possibility there. Anyway, so all right, to kind of wrap up that topic that I started and really fell off of ages ago, but I was saying that Microsoft had 3 categories of reasons. I talked about technical. I also talked about political. The third was strategic. And this one's honestly kind of obvious. Microsoft doesn't need to give any more power and access to Google. Google already controls so much of Android for the numerous obvious reasons and numerous obvious ways. It is in Microsoft's interest to play nice with Amazon, because one, Amazon is in Microsoft's backyard. Like, these two trade employees. These two have tons and tons of kind of handshake deals going on all the time. So it's not that unusual for Microsoft to kind of prefer Amazon in a situation. More important news in general. The Weather Frog is on the Nest Hub Max. Oh, jeez. What in the world? I mean, that looks neat as hell. I'll give it that. Is it just for the Nest Home Max? Wait, it's on first gens only? How do you get it? Let's see. I have a first gen next to me. So oh, it has, let's see. I know I'm on experimental builds, so is this something that I should be able to reach? And does it require the home app to do it? Because if so, lame. I mean, I have it set up, but still. Oops. Nope, not that one. Fourth option, photo frame, you have to say change my photo frame. Okay. but please mute first. Okay, it's gonna be loud and obnoxious. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Is it loud or is it copyright issues? Why should I be muting this? I'm curious. Because I think that largely changes whether or not this is something I'll do on air or not. Oh, okay, I wasn't gonna say the command. I was just going to enable it. Okay, so it's just a cute animated buddy. Gotta admit, I expected more. But I will, that's what I'll leave it on too. At least for now. I definitely have to go back to pretty pictures eventually, but for now, cute little buddy. It was where the low bandwidth. Yeah. Okay. All right. So. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So Microsoft choosing Amazon for strategic purpose. I think it is also in Microsoft's interest to kind of for the same reason, for the same reason that Google created or wanted to have a mobile OS. They wanted to push the idea that it gives Google competition and keeps it from owning a market. Which, of course, Google wanted to do to Apple to keep Apple from owning the smartphone market. So I think to some extent, by picking Amazon as a partner, it's preventing a little bit more something that could have gone wrong if Google went unchecked for too long. Now, with all of the different reasons I've said why Microsoft obviously should choose Amazon, which all of these contradict all of the crazy batshit arguments people have given. I will say all of this sums up to one simple counter argument to all of it. No one's going to give a crap. Honestly, like, unless you're installing games, and I'm not even sure how games are going to perform on Windows 11. Unless you're installing games, let's be honest, no one's going to care. No one's going to use this. I obviously some people will, but I think very, very few. It's just not going to be that successful. Google, for better or worse, has the app collection. Amazon has a bunch of free-to-play games that are all about funneling your in-app purchases, which, by the way, little hunch, I bet Microsoft is going to be taking a healthy chunk out of those. So, yeah, my feeling is this is a feature that's gotten a ton of attention and praise and announcement without necessarily bringing anything to the table that users are going to benefit from. I mean, I'm not saying that they won't, and I'm sure there are always some people who are going to benefit from almost everything. But in this particular case, I think it's going to be kind of minimal. That being said, who knows? Maybe this is the kickstart that the Amazon App Store needs to suddenly be able to pull out kind of some miracles, and all of a sudden maybe they'll become good. Oh, Jesse said it'll be interesting to see how long-term MS gets involved in the Amazon App Store, like if they'll start creating developer materials and other services, I would assume. My guess is that this is probably kind of the start of an embrace, extend, extinguish plan, except a little different. I feel like Microsoft is probably going to start building its own services that are kind of marketed or co-marketed with Amazon. And if Microsoft puts out those services, it's going to start becoming competition between Google and Microsoft to see who owns that space. And should that fail, just think about it. If that fails, then how to word this? Oh geez, I don't have a good way to word this. Oh, this is gonna drive me crazy. I think. Oh geez, I do not have the right way to word this. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. This is gonna bother me. Anyway, I think what we're gonna ultimately see is Google creating its own services, and we may even see kind of a battle occurring, sort of like we do between Android and Apple all the time, where you can do certain things the nice way on one platform, and you can do things the cheaper, easier, more flexible way on the other. But usually not as nice. And I could see Google kind of breaking in and becoming the same thing there. And at a certain point, if their services become useful enough and enough developers are reliant on them, then Amazon could be they could become a lead distributor of, funny enough, Microsoft stuff. It's a weird outside possibility, but if it goes the right way, you never know. It's getting so hot in here. I can actually, like, I'm not sweating, but I can feel this. I can feel like right on the tip of getting sweaty. Let's see, Jesse said embrace, extend, extinguish, but also maybe Amazon is okay with it after their failure to get real growth of the platform outside of being the cheap alternative for children and the elderly. The thing is, okay, does anyone know if there are... Let's just look it up. How much does Amazon make on the App Store? Oops, no, wrong one. All right, none of these results suggest to me that that Amazon's actually releasing numbers. I'm really curious now, how much does Amazon actually make from their App Store? Because as much as we think Google kind of owns it, if we're being honest, Amazon makes so much money because we call them microtransactions, but the in-app payments that some people are paying into those games. There's so many free-to-play games on the Amazon App Store because you can get the Amazon coins cheaper than you can get points on Google Play. But because of that, man, it is super, super insane. Google... Yeah. Anyway. Sorry. This heat, it really is killing me. Anyway. There's the thing is, people will go on Amazon and spend literally just hundreds or thousands of dollars on in-app purchases, whereas obviously they're doing that on Google Play too. But I think so many people have figured out that if you're spending just like $5 or $10, go ahead, buy something on Google Play. If you're the type of free-to-play gamer that's got thousands of dollars to spend, you're gonna get way more mileage out of $1,000 on Amazon than you would on Google Play. So it makes sense. At a certain point, the scale makes it worthwhile to switch over and just go Amazon for stuff. Oh. Okay. I'm going to call 15-minute warning because it's hot. It's real hot in here. One of these days I should put a temperature gauge in here. Ooh, or if I could. It'd be neat if I could put like a temperature gauge in here but connect it to the computer and just show the temperature on stream. Anyway. Alright, reading comments. Jesse said, let it be MS's problem to grow the store. To a certain extent, that could be what's happening. I'm even going to venture a weird guess. What if Amazon is kind of gearing up to sell the store to Microsoft? I mean, it's not an impossibility, and I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure Amazon's making money, but maybe Amazon sees this as an opportunity to say, look, the store makes this amount. Why don't we have Microsoft double that or triple it? Like, we're going to make our big payday with a couple of years in advance. And then we're going to also charge them more to just straight up sell this thing to them. I could see Amazon making huge money doing this and getting out of a business that probably is only downhill from here. And then it becomes Microsoft's job to figure out how to make this thing survivable and successful and of course profitable. Wait, how are they syncing apps on the Duo and Surface Facebook? I don't know what that's about. Also, does this mean Amazon's push notification network will be installed on Windows? And the answer to that is it would have to be, I think. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure they have to do something like that. Also, does this mean Amazon's push notification network will be... Oh, I already read that. This is why I want to be able to do unread markers in messages. Satya's like services for the win. Frighteningly so. Yeah, anyway. So when all is said and done, I think we've got a long way to go before we know whether or not this is actually a good idea. But I'm leaning towards thinking it's, at a bare minimum, something Microsoft needed to do. It kicks the can a little bit down the road, and it actually does... It does a little bit to sort of paint Google as too big, kind of the bad guy, not being professional enough. Like, it's not that it paints any one of these specific narratives, but it makes it really easy for an onlooker to paint that narrative for themselves. Let's see, Austin. How's Microsoft going to sync apps on the Duo and Surface? Or will they just have two different syncs and app stores? That's pretty bad if so. That's a good question. My hunch is because that phone was built in combination with Google. I have a feeling they're gonna stick to that. I don't think anybody there is gonna make a big push saying, no, we need to abandon Google and go over to Amazon. Yeah, I just don't see that working. Oh, man, it's getting way too hot in here. Okay. This feels like walking a thin line. No, I completely agree. I still think that this is going to ultimately be a nothing burger. I don't think people are going to be happy with the experience of running apps. Just ask Mac users who bought an M1. Like, go ahead, find them. There are plenty. Ask them what they feel about owning an M1 and running running iOS apps on there. I'm sure somebody out there is happy about it. I'm sure a lot more people look at it and go, all right, technically it runs, but we still don't like this. Like, this is not for us. Does this mean that Microsoft is now in violation of the Handset Alliance agreement by distributing an incompatible version of Android, disqualifying them from a Surface Duo 2? No, it does not. Because Microsoft is not distributing Android except on the Surface Duo. The Handset Alliance, or Open Handset Alliance, which actually Open Handset Alliance, I don't think would apply here for other reasons, but the issue isn't the Open Handset Alliance. It's actually a policy that Google has saying that if you distribute a version of Android that is not, that doesn't pass their certification, basically you're not allowed to distribute any version of Android, and you can't have Google Play services. So here's the issue though. They're not distributing Android itself. They're distributing a runtime that is capable of running Android apps. That might sound like a cheesy answer, but it's the truth. You know, it's one of those things where, let's say you made a text file. This is grossly oversimplifying it, but let's say you made a text file. It's a script that does a certain thing, and you put that on one computer. Are you distributing the run? This is going to become a bad example real quick. But if you made a thing, then someone comes along and is like, well, I want to take that script and run it on a different computer. Would I be guilty of, let's say, piracy? Not of the text file, but of the runtime that is used to get that text file, which is a script, to run. You know, these are two different things. You get to abstract one away by virtue of what form it takes. So being able to run Android apps is not the same thing as distributing Android. That's where it comes down to. And keep in mind, BlackBerry was already doing this. BlackBerry tried really hard to succeed on this one, and there have been, I think, 2 or 3 other OSs that tried to get BlackBerries to try to get Android APKs to take off as one of their app distribution methods. Let's see, does the Intel Bridge even run Android? Don't think so. I honestly have no idea. It'll be interesting if the Intel Bridge is a complete one-to-one replication of the Android runtime and API. I don't see a way it... Well, technically, I think the API and SDK don't have to change. But keep in mind, some stuff does. There are going to be some apps that do things like sending custom notifications. Very heavily customized notifications. I don't know if those types of customizations are possible on Android, but if they are, that's going to be pretty neat. But in all likelihood, they're not going to be supported, which means I don't think that we're going to have a true one-to-one. I'm just giving notifications as an example, but I think there's going to be a lot of different things. Let's see. For a time, BlackBerry even shipped the Amazon App Store. Did they? I was out of it by then. But I wouldn't be surprised. That does sound familiar. Okay. Yeah. I can actually feel my body sweating now. So it's getting too hot in here. I've obviously been having trouble concentrating, so I think it is unfortunately time to wrap up because we've had some pretty good stuff. You know what? I am going to take a very, very quick side note though before I go. Just to throw this in, this is the only other random topic I kind of had prepared in my head. I kind of was going to spin a little more on it, but AP and a bunch of other places just posted their Google retail store takes, and like ours is a comparison against the Apple Store. I read through this. It was kind of interesting, but what I mostly got out of it was that Google is trying to create a very different type of store, and I would say they succeeded. Not that it was necessarily a good idea for what type of store to create, but I think they did succeed in fundamentally trying to create something different from Apple. Yes, spicy tea. Oh wait, let's see. Jesse speculating this probably could be quote Android if Google wants it to, but they probably don't want it to, so they can still worm their way into Microsoft devices in the future. Very possibly. And by the way, keep in mind, I think this has kind of been overlooked a little bit. Maybe not as much in here, but just in articles in general. There's nothing stopping Microsoft from someday turning around and saying, hey, we still support Amazon, but now you can also get Google Play apps through us. Like, this is now going to be an option, and you can download the interpreter. You can, or not interpreter, the Google Play services runtime, and you can do this, you can do that. There's nothing stopping Microsoft from doing this. It just seems unlikely. Anyway, Carson's gonna try to visit the store. Please do. But yeah, anyway, to me, looking at like the photos of the store, this is an Apple store. But just looking at the photos and kind of what's been done at this store, what strikes me is Google is trying to create a showroom. I feel like it's a showroom. I mentioned this a week or two ago. I feel like it, to some extent, is a showroom intended for people who are for YouTubers and people who want that big experience. I don't think this is really intended for the average person. It's fine for them. There's nothing wrong with that for them. But to me, this just screams take away... Damn it. I'm losing it again. I lost that train of thought. But I want this... I want to think of this store as sort of their proving ground, as a starting point for something that will be bigger but not the same. Like, I don't see this as a scalable thing. I don't think this is a store that they're gonna put in 30 major cities around the country. This is the type of store that you put in one place for a bunch of like trendy New York YouTubers to go to so that they can shoot stuff, and you can have launch events and stuff like that. And then everywhere else around the country, they basically can just make Apple stores. Jesse, it looks like they learn more from IKEA than from Apple. Yeah. Well, the furniture design. Holy crap, their furniture design is a lot of WTF territory. I mean, really. That stool, that stool. The bottom of that stool that's visible right there just does not look right. Oops. Can I position myself? Hey, the giraffe seating from the top of my head. And that was not me being loopy. Anyway, but yeah, I think the store looks fine. I don't think that this is so much about Google trying to rationalize the existence of its devices, which was a big takeaway Max had. But I do think that they're in that place where they're trying to do something with a store that isn't the same thing Apple is doing. Which isn't bad, it's not good. It remains to be seen. Hot, not serious take, Google should buy IKEA. If only Google Store had a basement that sold meatballs. I mean, they could. We don't know. Let's see. Check the comments. Oh, yep. Looks like an IKEA showroom. Which it does. I mean, it absolutely is an IKEA showroom. It's just different. And I see the word booth popping up at least here and there. Yeah, and that's what this is. I don't think that this needs to be criticized and compared directly to Apple. I get why it is, but I think that they were trying to accomplish something different, and I'm not gonna say yet whether they did or not, but I think that was the whole plan. Anyway, yeah, I'm roasting in here. This is the heat of a slow death. So, sort by best. Man, I never sort by best. Okay, I'll read this. I'm really confused here. Oh, by the way, this is by KI77ERB. I'm really confused here. It sounds like you're complaining that the Google Store showed you products, explained the features, and gave examples of how they fit into your life. That sounds exactly like what I would want if I was unfamiliar with a product and decided to go to a store to learn more and see it hands-on. Owned. I mean, the next person is not wrong. Max clearly did understand, and he even complained about that in practically those same words. But I do still think that this guy puts it very succinctly, like, yeah, you're complaining because you don't want that. Therefore, you're kind of putting your dislike on that store. But for most people, this is exactly what they want. They want to be able to walk into a store because they know a store is going to try to sell them on something. So, shocker, here's a store that's trying to sell them on something. And then here's a take that just doesn't need to exist. Quote, I think even the most mainstream consumers know Google hardware. Bullshit. Epic bullshit. No. Find me a mainstream consumer that knows crap about the Pixel. Find me a mainstream consumer that could tell you, like, how many devices are in the Nest Hub lineup. Find me a mainstream consumer who's like, hey, Google's making a watch. Crap, I said that was total accident. I did not mean to do that. But I didn't wake any of my devices, so I think you guys are safe too. But I did just say hey G in that order with nothing separating them but a long pause. So sorry if I woke up anyone's devices. But yeah, I'm not one of the greatest memes of all times. Toads my goats. But anyway, yeah, I don't think that this store is a bad thing. I don't think it's a great thing. I don't think it's anything that special. It's still a freaking store. But I think Google did the right thing here, at least for now. We'll see. There's going to be stuff to learn from this, which is, I think, probably the best news of all. Okay, anyway, this time, for real, because holy crap. Look at me. This was like the good old days of promising that the stream would be done much sooner, and then it never ends. Okay, so for real, I'm taking off. I need to get out of this room. Thanks to everyone for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation, chatting with me. As usual, it's just going to continue on in the Discord anyway, so, you know, the only difference is you don't get to hear my voice. And so, if you'd like to support the channel at all, there are links down below in the description to Patreon and Streamlabs where you can subscribe or give a tip. One of these days, I swear we'll have other things sorted out, including, yes, just links to Amazon stuff. I swear, because that's probably just a smart move. Let's see. Tomorrow, just for reference, I am going to be recording another episode of Tech Tales with Corbin, so I don't know how quickly he'll get it out, but just so you know, that will be around shortly for your listening pleasure. And one of these days I need to actually script my outros, maybe, sort of. But hey, again, thanks for hanging out, thanks for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful friggin' week, and I'll be back for gaming most likely this weekend. Corbin needs to have Kirby on. I could see that. I'm curious how much you would tell him, and you know what I mean. You'd tell him. Anyway, but with that, take it easy. Have a great week, everyone. Kirby, get well, get things wrapped up with that hospital visit. Same to anyone else who's got things going on. And I will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.